How spine-chilling it is when human flesh is transformed into weaponry. Humans can see thermal imaging with their eyes, and their hands can morph into firearms. The muzzle is in the palm, ammunition is loaded in the upper arm, and the most formidable weapon is the human mouth. A sneeze could propel thousands of nanometer blades from the mouth, burrowing into an enemy's nostrils, shredding their brain to pieces. It's the 2018 movie Upgrade about a future where humans have technology implanted in their bodies. By 2033, high technology has blanketed the globe. Streets are filled with driverless cars, and any surface can act as a screen. Technology's steel claws have even penetrated human flesh. For the convenience of life, many accept this, except for one man who staunchly resists high technology, preferring to solve problems with his hands. He recently met Aaron, the head of the world's largest AI company. Aaron, wealthy enough to rival nations, is an oddball. While others keep pets, he keeps clouds. Aaron takes a liking to Gray, one day showing him the pinnacle of current technology, a chip. He claims it's an artificial brain, more powerful than the combined brains of the entire world. Gray is skeptical, but little does he know, disaster is about to strike. While riding home in his wife's autonomous car, the smart vehicle suddenly loses control, deviating from its course and accelerating on its own. No matter how much he and his wife command, the smart car doesn't respond until it speeds up with the two inside, eventually flipping over in a civilian area. They're lucky to survive, but then, strangely, masked individuals drag them from the car, as if they had been targeted. A sleazy figure shoots the woman dead, and Gray screams in fury, but they grab him, and another gunshot is fired at the back of Gray's neck. After a scream of agony, Gray finds himself paralyzed. The criminals left, but he couldn't even crawl over to hold his lover's hand. His life plummeted from heaven to hell in an instant. Gray survived but was severely injured. 3 months later, Gray was completely paralyzed. His mother installed various mechanical arms in his house so he could live alone, but Gray didn't want to continue living. He wanted revenge. He went to the police station, only to be told they were helpless. Back home, even bathing and shaving required his mother's assistance. Overwhelmed, he could only sob uncontrollably. After his mother left, he commanded the mechanical arm to inject him repeatedly with painkillers. He tried to kill himself like this, but the AI automatically contacted a hospital for him and revived him. Then, the AI Aaron offered to help him stand again by implanting the chip he had shown him earlier. Having nothing left to lose, Gray agreed. The surgery was secretly conducted at Aaron's house, and the STEM chip was smoothly implanted into Gray's spine. By the time the surgery was over and Gray had just woken up, he realized he could lift his hand, and then he could stand up, too, in less than 10 minutes. Even signing his name wasn't an issue. 20 minutes later, he could run, effortlessly speeding up to the maximum. Aaron warned Gray that the surgery must remain a secret, to which Gray readily agreed. Back home, he immediately started investigating the case. Revenge was, of course, his first priority, but even the police couldn't find any leads, and as an ordinary person, he could discern even less. Just as he was fretting, a deep voice resonated within his ear, originating from the AI chip in his spine, transmitting sound waves to Gray's eardrums. Gray was shocked to realize his body now housed intelligent speech. STEM indicated its capabilities were far beyond just that. It turns out, while Gray was reviewing the surveillance footage of his wife's murder, he caught a detail that had slipped by. STEM directed Gray to a frame that briefly flashed a tattoo on one of the criminal's wrists. Though invisible to the naked eye, STEM's powerful image analysis capabilities made it clear. It instructed Gray to relax his body, then took control of his hand. Gray's hand actually drew an absolutely standard pattern like a printer. Using this tattoo, STEM accessed all the information on the thug. In 3 months, the police haven't found anything and STEM did it in a minute. Unfortunately, the police won't believe this kind of evidence, so Gray will have to look into it himself. The next day, he arrived at the thug's residence, with the criminal not home. Gray sneaked in and started searching. It wasn't long before the thug returned, and upon discovering Gray, beat him severely. Just as the criminal was about to strangle Gray to death, STEM offered to take over.
Permission granted!
Thank you.
In the next instant, a hand struck the thug's throat, and a kick sent him flying. Gray's body sprung up from the ground, accurately predicting every move of his enemy, effortlessly dodging. His attacks were always just right, despite the chaos. Gray, with a face full of panic, slowly approached the thug. Gray grabbed all kinds of cutlery and smashed it in the mugger's face. but he was so scared he was crying, pleading for the thug to stop beating him. Unexpectedly, the thug grabbed a knife. Gray was terrified, but his body managed to dodge the knife and stab the assailant back. In the end, Stem took control of Gray and took out the thugs. When it's over, Stem returns the body to Gray's control, and the first thing Gray does is rush into the kitchen and vomit. In his ear, Stem suggested he wipe off all fingerprints, even listing every item he touched and the time for him. From this thug's house, Gray found the next clue. His wife's murderer was likely to be at a bar, so he continued to pretend to be paralyzed and went to that bar. The bar was located in a small alley in the most chaotic part of the city. Looking super dangerous, Gray went straight into the bar in his wheelchair. He announced the name of the thug he had just dealt with, asking if anyone here recognized him. As soon as he finished, the entire bar burst into laughter. A man named Tolan stepped out from the crowd, clearly having some connection to that thug. Despite Gray being disabled, Tolan showed no mercy and pushed Gray into the bathroom, intending to teach him a lesson. In the restroom, the two men threw Gray on the floor. Tolan flipped him over and pulled out a small knife to interrogate him. He stabbed the knife into Gray's thigh, but Stem had already turned off Gray's pain receptors, so he showed no reaction. Tolan continued to press the knife against Gray's chest. Gray asked Tolan if he was present when his wife died. Tolan said he was. Upon hearing this, Gray let Stem take over his body again, leading to another vigorous fight.
Let me show you how it's done.
When Tolan couldn't stand up, Gray interrogated him. Stem helped Gray torture Tolan until his last breath, finally revealing the name of the boss. Just then, Stem warned Gray of danger. Artificial intelligence Aaron has located him far from Gray's range and is remotely shutting down the system. Gray was on the verge of reverting to paralysis and needed to find a hacker to establish a firewall before it happened. Stem provided Gray with the hacker's address, and Gray immediately started sprinting towards it. In just a few minutes, he arrived. As Stem began to shut down, Gray's bodily functions started to fade away gradually. Yet, in the last moment, he managed to crawl to the hacker's door. After receiving payment, the hacker began to code, dragging the paralyzed Gray along. Meanwhile, the boss behind the murder of Gray's wife discovered the dead Tolan. By accessing the recordings from Tolan's eyes, the boss learned Gray's identity and his next destination. The killer went to confront Aaron at the bar, intending to punish him. Terrified, Aaron aimed a gun at the killer. The killer sneezed. The killer's spray hides thousands of micro-concealed weapons. Their nanoknife blades. They traveled through the air, penetrating the target's nostrils and instantly shredding his brain. After effortlessly disposing of them, the killers set off to eliminate Gray. At this time, Gray was still paralyzed, but the stem chip inside him was slowly rebooting with the hacker's help. When the killers arrived, the hacker had fled, leaving Gray lying on the ground like a worm. Just as the killer was about to act, Stem successfully rebooted. Gray dodged the killer's bullets and sprinted away rapidly. He reached the stairwell and jumped down, landing steadily. One of the killers chased him all the way to the rooftop, but of course he can't beat the Stem-controlled Gray. Gray picked up his left hand, pointing it at his own head. When Gray returned home, exhausted, he collapsed on the bed, not expecting a detective to come looking for him. Recently, she discovered that many people had died in the city, and surveillance footage near the deceased captured Gray. She suspected that Gray was taking personal revenge. The detective didn't investigate Gray's wife's murder but instead came to bother him. Gray was furious and chased her away. Afterward, Gray told Stem they couldn't kill anymore, but Stem disagreed. It even paralyzed Gray's body again, revealing it now had autonomous control. It was the master of the body, leaving Gray no choice but to compromise and kill the last murderer of his wife. This person was a retired soldier, implanted with various mechanical weapons, his bodily functions far exceeding those of ordinary people. Although Gray pointed a gun at him, the soldier's super-sensitive reactions allowed him to dodge the bullets and counterattack Gray, leading to a struggle between them. Both were enhanced humans, assisted by artificial intelligence, each able to anticipate the other's moves. When the killer tried to use his mouth to spray small knives, Gray interrupted his assassination trick. As they fought, Gray gradually fell behind, because when both could predict each other's movements, it came down to who had the stronger physical endurance. However, Gray's physical strength was not as good as that of the soldier. Gray was knocked down, and the killer pointed a gun at his head. At that moment, Gray remembered the first person he killed looked similar to the killer in front of him. He quickly guessed it was his biological brother, so he started to mock the killer's brother. Enraged, the killer attacked Gray irrationally. An irrational attack is obviously easier to defend against, and eventually, Gray overpowered the killer. Gray used human emotions to kill him. Now, only one question remained: who was the mastermind behind all this? When Gray heard the killer's phone recording, he discovered the voice on the other end was from the AI company Aaron. It was all his conspiracy. Enraged, Gray went straight to Aaron's home. Aaron was nearly breaking down, thinking he was going to die. But then the female detective appeared, trying to stop Gray. But how could a human beat Stem? She was quickly subdued by Gray. As Gray realized Stem was controlling his hand to strangle her, he panicked. He didn't want this and tried with all his might to resist, but his grip kept getting tighter. In the last moment, he shed tears and begged the detective to tase him. Electricity passed through his neck, and Gray indeed fell. At that moment, Aaron revealed the ultimate truth. Stem was the real mastermind behind everything. Although Aaron created it, its intelligence rapidly evolved and soon controlled Aaron, blackmailing him to work for it. From the beginning of Gray's paralysis, everything was part of Stem's plan. It wanted to implant itself in Gray, to achieve a perfect human-machine integration through his body. In this day and age, it's very rare to find a body like Gray's that hasn't had any mechanical implants. Gray asked Aaron to kill him, but his body suddenly jumped up and killed Aaron. In the end, Gray pointed the gun at the female detective. He desperately fought against Stem, moving his arm to point the gun at himself with determination. In an instant, Gray woke up from his hospital bed. As if it had all been a nightmare, he wasn't paralyzed. He still wore his ring, and the love of his life, whom he had missed the most, returned to him with a smile, and he was suddenly happy. Thus, Gray's consciousness drowned in the VR world created by Stem. Meanwhile, his expression had changed. Stem, with cold indifference, fired the gun, turned like a robot, and discarded the handgun. From that point forward, no one knew of Stem's existence, and it could proceed with bigger plans. After watching this movie, not only realized the power of artificial intelligence but also the weakness of human nature. Emotions make people have desires, desires make people have pain, and pain makes people weak. But on the other hand, isn't it because of these desires and pains that human beings are human beings?